Hello, it's Janelle Stewart here at Parents Making an Investment. I hope that you are having a wonderful day so far. And I would just like to take the time just to share a little insight that I received based on something that one of my kids were going through. And I hope that this will give you some insight if your child or children's going through this, and even if you're going through this as a parent, it's right because there's so many things sometimes that we think um, that even though our kids are going through it, we go through it through too as well, and it just seems like sometimes we don't even click as a parent, say, wait a minute. And we do a lot of things just seems like because our children are much younger, it doesn't seem like that it doesn't look like what we're going through in our age and in our life cycle, in our parenting process. But believe me, what I'm going to share with you, I'm sure that you can find a way that it actually connects with some area of your life personally, parenting, or even some area in your child's life. And the word that came to me today, this morning, was impersonate. And I think sometimes, and our kids, it happens to our children a lot, first of all, because they're so innocent. There's just such an innocence about them. And a lot of times, too, we don't think of it this way. We don't think about the spiritual part sometimes. And let me not say that. That's not true. I apologize, first of all, because we do sometimes. And there are parents like myself that actually do think about the spiritual part. So I apologize for saying and making that statement that it's not true. And there we do think about the spiritual side of things, but in everyday life, we I think the natural comes to us first before we think of the spiritual, and we want to be able to reverse that. So I apologize for saying that we don't think about it because it's not true. We do think about it. We naturally react in our physical mind and the reality that we're faced with up front before we think of it in the spiritual realm. And so, with that being said, sometimes our children go through where they see their friends and they see situations and they take them at face value, and so therefore they believe what they see, the person, the friends, that they experience and they have, and the friendship they have, and they take it at face value. But one thing that stood out to me with the impersonate, it's actually what happens. And we have to teach our children that things that look and appear are not always what they really are. And it's not to teach our kids to be fearful or cautious and to always step back, but we do want them to learn upfront that things that appear to be are not really always what they are. And so, and it's the same thing even with us as adults. Even with situations that we go through, relationships that we have, things are not always what they appear to be. And the impersonate part is that we need to teach our children is just like how sometimes they take on roles. They take on, um, you know, uh, they role play and they take on character roles. Like they could pretend to be you, they could pretend to be me. They take on roles when they watch TV. They see, TV characters that take on a different role and they impersonate and pretend to be someone else. And we have a lot of that in society. They're surrounded by it a lot in their school if they go to school, and especially if your children are school age, they're surrounded by that a lot, and a lot of it is deceptive because we do want to teach our children that even though someone pretends to be this way, or they show you that part of them, for that, that there are times that might not be who they really are. So don't get hang up on seeing this person, and even though they're showing you that side of them, that they don't just always just hang on to who that person really is, because when they show them some other side of them, then they're kind of like taken back, because it's like, oh, well, I thought that this was you and now you're showing me another, and then they become confused. But it's a form, impersonating is a form of deception. And so it's the same thing too in the spiritual realm that the enemy of our souls do to us. And he impersonates. He impersonates the spirit of light, and what he paints for us and what he shows us is all deception, and it's all to get us to believe what the character, the action, and the person that he is pretending to be. It's all to get us to believe that. And so therefore then we're deceived. And so sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes people come in our lives and it's not their intention to deceive us, but because they hide behind a mask and because they pretend to be somebody else, usually that's what we see, is what appears to be. And then when we find out that that's not really what it is, then we kind of lose hope in them. And so we want to teach our children today, and teach ourselves that to not get so tied up in what we see, because it's not always what we see that it and appear, and what is shown to us is what it really is. But if you get that inclination, and just something's not sitting right with you, and if your child is talking to you about these things and saying this about individuals or situation, listen clearly, because there is underlining of it, there is some deception, could be some deception going on. And so therefore you want them to educate them on how to deal with that. And it's not to stay clear, but to listen to your heart, because the enemy of your soul wants to deceive you, and to listen and not take everything right at face value, but to be wise about what somebody is saying. Research it for yourself, understand it for yourself. Don't just take everything that you hear and every information that somebody feeds you and grab hold of it. Dig in it, research it for yourself, unpack it, dissect it, until you get that feeling like, yeah, this is it. And if you got that itchy and that iffy feeling, and it's not sitting right with you, then yes, it's time for you to do some research, and it's time for you to do some searching and let the Spirit of God within you guide you. So therefore you are not deceived. And so therefore to teach our kids so they don't become deceived by their surroundings and by information that they're given as well at the same time. And I could probably spend more time unpacking this, but I just want to just share just a snippet of what was shared with me today, and then also how it applies to our parenting. And if you feel, and parents, sometimes even looking at other parents too and their lifestyle, and it can also let us be deceived into thinking that this walk and is easy, and this walk is, but believe it or not, And then you're wondering as a parent, well, how come this is not working for me? And how come this, everybody talks about, it being this way and it just does not be, that way for me. If you're feeling that way, please direct message me, comment below, so I could definitely, we could talk, we could reach out, and we could get together on the same page, and I can help you so that way you can come to a place where you know you're not dealing with things that appear to be and they really are not in parenting. So I hope that information helps you as far as with Impersonate today, and hopefully you can apply it to whatever you're experiencing and whatever you're going through right now. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and to share this video. And also, if you know that someone is struggling with things looking and appearing one way, and it really isn't, please share this video with them to encourage them today to listen clearly with their heart, because sometimes, and most times, the enemy of our soul wants to deceive us. And so we don't want that today. We want to be successful. We want to be wise. And we want to also teach our children very early on to be wise as well. Take care.